Welcome to Hello Internet! Welcome to Treasure of, the channel where we dig deep to uncover the hidden lore and untold stories behind your favorite things. Today we're venturing into a place many of us hold dear, the toy box. Those colorful plastic and plush companions of our youth, they were our friends, our confidants, our partners in imaginary adventures. But what if I told you that beneath the innocent smiles and cuddly exteriors lies a world of dark secrets, unsettling origins, and disturbing truths? What if the stories we knew were just a carefully constructed facade to hide something much more sinister? We're about to peel back the plastic, unstitch the seams, and unscrew the battery covers on the most iconic toys of all time. From the cheerful gang in Andy's room to the world's most famous fashion doll, and even that weird, furry, beaked creature that blinked at you from the closet. The theories we're exploring today will change the way you look at your childhood forever. They'll make you question everything you thought was just innocent fun and games. So, put your old toys away, lock the door to the playroom, and brace yourselves, get ready. These toy theories are about to ruin your childhood. We're not just talking about fan fiction here, we're diving into historical context, psychological analysis, and hidden details that creators may have left behind intentionally, or not. The rabbit hole goes deep, my friends, and what we find at the bottom might just haunt your dreams. This isn't just play anymore. This is a treasure hunt for the truth, and believe me, the treasure we're about to unearth is anything but golden. Let's begin. Alright, let's start with a certified childhood classic, Toy Story. On the surface, it's a heartwarming tale of friendship, loyalty, and the bittersweet passage of time. The toys come to life when humans aren't around, their biggest fear being replaced or forgotten. But what if the central premise of the universe is built on something far more tragic? What if the toys aren't just sentient playthings? What if they are the reincarnated souls of their owners' deceased loved ones, trapped in an eternal plastic purgatory? Think about it. Why do toys have this unwavering, almost pathological devotion to their specific child? This theory suggests that the toys are guardian spirits, bound to watch over the child they were connected to in a past life. Consider Woody. He's not just any toy, he's an old classic cowboy from the 1950s, a relic from Andy's father's generation. We famously never see Andy's dad in the films. The popular theory is that he passed away. What if Woody is the embodiment of Andy's father's spirit, or at least a conduit for it, forever bound to watch over his son, guide him and protect him, unable to reveal his true identity? His pull-string phrases aren't just random, they're comforting, fatherly affirmations. This lens recasts the entire trilogy in a much darker, more poignant light. Sid, the neighborhood bully, isn't just a mischievous kid with a firecracker obsession. He becomes a torturer of souls, a desecrator of these trapped spirits. He dismembers and reassembles them, creating monstrous amalgamations of tormented entities. His bedroom isn't a workshop, it's a house of horrors, a place where these souls are mutilated and their forms twisted into nightmarish mockeries of what they once were. The mutant toys aren't just quirky side characters, they're the victims of unspeakable trauma. And what about Jessie? Her backstory is presented as one of simple abandonment, a toy left behind when her owner Emily grew up. But under this theory, it's a tragedy of a different magnitude. Emily didn't just outgrow a toy, she forgot a loved one. Jessie's pain isn't just about being left in a box, it's the agony of a soul being forgotten by the very person she was meant to watch over. Her song, When She Loved Me, becomes a lament for a lost life and a broken spiritual connection, a truly haunting ballad of eternal sorrow. Then we have the incinerator scene in Toy Story 3. It's no longer just a moment of near death for a group of friends, it's a vision of hell itself. These souls, having fulfilled their duty to a now-grown Andy, are facing their final, fiery oblivion. They aren't just accepting being destroyed, they are accepting the end of their very existence, their consciousness being wiped away in a sea of flame. Their quiet acceptance as they hold hands is one of the most chillingly beautiful and tragic moments in cinema if you view it this way. They aren't just toys, they are souls at the end of their journey. This also explains why new toys like Buzz Lightyear initially don't know they are toys. It's a form of post-reincarnation amnesia. Buzz genuinely believes he's a space ranger because his soul hasn't yet reconciled with its new, inanimate form. It takes the community of other, older souls like Woody to guide him into accepting his new reality, his new purpose as a guardian. The delusion is actually the lingering memory of a past identity, struggling against the confines of its new plastic prison. So, the next time you watch Toy Story, look past the bright colors and witty banter. See the toys for what they might truly be, loyal, loving souls trapped in an endless cycle of servitude, watching the world go by through unblinking, painted-on eyes. Their greatest joy is a child's love, but their greatest tragedy is that they can never truly live, only exist. They are silent spectators in the lives they are sworn to protect, forever on the other side of the glass. And that, my friends, is a far cry from a simple story about talking toys. Ah, the teddy bear, the quintessential symbol of childhood innocence, comfort, and security. We've all had one, a fluffy companion to hug during thunderstorms and whisper secrets to in the dark. But the origin of this beloved toy is tied to a story that's less about cuddles and more about the cold, hard reality of politics, hunting, and a moment of contested mercy. The story isn't creepy because of ghosts or ghouls, but because of its stark, real-world roots that we've since sanitized with fluff and stuffing. The year is 1902. The setting? A hunting trip in Mississippi. The man of the hour? None other than the 26th President of the United States, Theodore Teddy Roosevelt. Roosevelt, known for his rugged, outdoorsman persona, was struggling to find a bear to hunt. His hosts, wanting to ensure the president didn't leave empty-handed, took matters into their own hands. They cornered, clubbed, and tied an old, injured black bear to a willow tree. They then presented this helpless, wounded animal to the president for an easy kill, but Roosevelt, an avid hunter and conservationist, was appalled. He refused to shoot the tethered and injured bear, declaring the act utterly unsportsmanlike. He saw no honor in killing a defenseless creature that had been brutalized for his sake. While he refused to take the shot himself, he did order that the bear be put down to end its suffering, a grim but necessary act of mercy. The incident was quickly picked up by the national press, becoming a symbol of Roosevelt's moral character. A political cartoonist named Clifford Berryman immortalized the event in the Washington Post. However, his cartoon depicted the bear not as the old, injured animal it was, but as a small, frightened cub, making Roosevelt's act of refusal seem even more compassionate. This is where the story takes a commercial turn. A Brooklyn candy shop owner named Morris Mictum saw the cartoon and had an idea. He and his wife created a stuffed bear cub and with Roosevelt's permission named it Teddy's Bear. The toy was an overnight sensation. The public fell in love with the story of the powerful president and the little bear he saved. But let's pause and really think about this. The teddy bear, our beloved childhood friend, is a commercialized effigy of an animal that was brutally hunted, beaten, and ultimately killed. We've taken a story of a violent hunt and its grim conclusion and repackaged it into a plush toy for children to sleep with. The innocence is a complete fabrication. The real bear wasn't saved, it didn't get to run free, it was put out of its misery after being tormented. The teddy bear in your bedroom isn't a monument to a saved animal, it's a monument to a slain one. Every time a child hugs a teddy bear, they are unknowingly embracing a symbol born from a moment of violence and death. The fluffy fur and button eyes are a distraction from the blood and politics that started it all. So the creepy origin isn't supernatural, it's something far more unsettling. It's the way we as a society can take a harsh, violent event and launder it through marketing until it becomes a symbol of the exact opposite. The teddy bear is perhaps the greatest marketing spin of all time. It represents our capacity to ignore uncomfortable truths in favor of a comforting manufactured narrative. Your cuddly friend has a backstory written in blood and political cartoons, a far cry from the sweet dreams it's supposed to protect. Barbie. For decades, she's been a doctor, an astronaut, a veterinarian, and a presidential candidate. She's the epitome of the idea that you can be anything. But what if her entire existence is a cover for a much more specific and much more adult, original identity? What if Barbie, the all-American icon for little girls, is based on a German post-war sex doll for men? Buckle up, because this isn't a theory. It's a documented historical fact that Mattel has worked very hard to obscure. Our story begins not in Malibu but in post-World War II Germany. The character in question is Bild Lilly, a cartoon character from the newspaper Bild Zeitung. Lily was a sassy, ambitious, and scantily clad gold digger who knew how to use her looks to get what she wanted from wealthy men. She was witty, irreverent, and decidedly not for children. Her cartoons were filled with suggestive humor and double entendres, making her a popular figure among adult male readers. In 1955, the cartoon's popularity led to the creation of the Bild Lilly doll. She wasn't sold in toy stores, she was sold in tobacco shops, bars, and adult novelty stores. She was marketed as a gag gift for men, something to dangle from their car's rearview mirror or to give as a bachelor party present. She came with a stand and suggestive taglines. She was, in no uncertain terms, an adult plaything, a pinup girl brought to three-dimensional life. Enter Ruth Handler, the co-founder of Mattel. During a trip to Europe in 1956, she saw the Lily doll. At the time, dolls for girls in America were almost exclusively baby dolls, meant to encourage nurturing and motherhood. Handler had been trying to pitch the idea of a doll with adult features, one that would allow girls to imagine their future selves. When she saw Lily, she saw the physical manifestation of her idea, albeit with a different target audience. She brought several of the dolls back to the States. Mattel acquired the rights to the Bild Lilly doll, and in 1959, they released their version, Barbie. The physical resemblance between the first Barbie and the Lily doll is undeniable. The arched eyebrows, the pursed lips, the sidelong glance, the impossible proportions, they are virtually identical. Mattel essentially took this German sex symbol, gave her a more wholesome, American-friendly backstory, and marketed her to children. They took a doll meant for the male gaze and placed her directly into the hands of little girls. This completely reframes Barbie's entire legacy. The endless debates about her unrealistic body proportions take on a new, more sinister meaning when you realize that Barbie was never designed for a child's toy in the first place. It was designed to be an exaggerated, sexualized caricature for adult men. The aspirational body type that has been criticized for decades wasn't an innocent mistake. It was a direct import from a product with a very different purpose. So, Barbie's secret identity isn't that she's a secret agent or a mermaid. Her secret is that her entire DNA comes from a character who was the antithesis of childhood innocence. She is a wolf in sheep's clothing, a sanitized version of a character created for adult amusement. Every dream house, every pink Corvette, every career change is built on the foundation of a doll sold next to cigars and liquor. It's a shocking secret identity that changes the very meaning of "Come on Barbie, let's go party." In the late 1990s, a creature invaded homes across the globe. It had big eyes, furry ears, a little yellow beak, and it spoke a strange language called Furbish. The Furby was a phenomenon, a must-have toy that, honestly, just flew off the shelves. It was marketed as an interactive pet that could learn, talk, and even communicate with other Furbies. But, as quickly as it became popular, a dark cloud of suspicion started to form around this animatronic oddity. A theory emerged that was so pervasive it actually reached the highest levels of national security. Furbies were spies. So, let's break down the technology for a second. Furbies were impressively complex for their time. They had sensors for light, sound, touch, and orientation. They had a vocabulary that expanded over time, making it seem like they were learning English. This learning capability was, really, the core of the paranoia. The rumor was that Furbies didn't just learn pre-programmed words, they could supposedly record and repeat things they heard in their environment. The idea was that these toys were covert listening devices, planting a microphone in the homes of millions. And honestly, this wasn't just a playground rumor. The theory gained so much traction that in 1999 the National Security Agency, the NSA, banned Furbies from its premises. An internal memo actually warned that the toys were a security risk, stating, "Personally owned photographic, video, and audio recording equipment are prohibited items. This includes toys, such as Furbies, with built-in recorders that may record sensitive information." The NSA was genuinely concerned that a Furby could record classified conversations and repeat them later. Tiger Electronics, the manufacturer, repeatedly and vehemently denied these claims. They issued statements explaining exactly how the toy worked. The Furby's learning was a clever illusion. It had a preset list of words that were unlocked gradually through interaction, giving the impression of learning. There was no recording mechanism. The microphone was only used to detect loud noises to trigger a response, not to parse or store human speech. The Furby was, technologically speaking, incapable of being a spy. But, the fear was more powerful than the facts. The very nature of the toy was just kind of unsettling. It would wake up in the middle of the night, its eyes glowing, and start babbling in Furbish without any prompting. Stories spread of Furbies saying creepy things, of them functioning even after their batteries were removed, a classic trope of haunted objects. The toy's design, a strange owl-gremlin hybrid, didn't help matters. It looked like something that would be watching you from a dark corner. This paranoia taps into a deeper, more modern fear, the fear of our technology turning against us. The Furby was one of the first mainstream smart toys. It brought a primitive form of AI into the playroom. The fear that it was spying on us was a precursor to our current-day anxieties about smart speakers, webcams, and phones that are always listening. The Furby was, in a way, the canary in the coal mine for technological paranoia. Even though the spy theory has been thoroughly debunked, the sinister reputation lingers. The Furby remains a symbol of creepy tech. It represents that moment when our toys stopped being simple, inanimate objects and started to become things that watched, listened, and reacted. Whether it was actually spying or not almost doesn't matter. It felt like it was, and in the world of childhood fears, feeling is believing. The Furby wasn't just a toy, it was our first lesson in the uncanny valley of interactive technology. In the 1980s, a full-blown craze swept the nation, causing riots in toy stores and parents to go to desperate lengths. The source of this mania? The Cabbage Patch Kids. These pudgy, soft sculpture dolls with their unique faces and vinyl heads weren't just sold, they were adopted. Each one came with a birth certificate and adoption papers, creating a powerful narrative of bringing home a new member of the family. But what if this wholesome adoption story was actually a clever marketing ploy to cover up a much darker, more controversial origin? The official lore, created by the doll's marketer, Coleco, was that a young boy named Xavier Roberts discovered a magical Cabbage Patch where these little people were born. He built Babyland General Hospital to care for them and help them find loving homes. It's a sweet, whimsical story. However, the real story involves a bitter legal battle and accusations of intellectual property theft that completely undermine this magical origin. The true creator of the dolls was a folk artist from Kentucky named Martha Nelson Thomas. In the 1970s, she began creating her doll babies. They had the same soft sculpture technique and were also adopted, not sold. Thomas would have the parents raise their right hand and take an oath to love and care for their doll baby forever. She sold them at craft fairs, focusing on the art and the loving connection, not mass commercialization. Enter Xavier Roberts. He was a young artist who, after seeing Martha's dolls at a fair, began making his own, very similar-looking dolls. He initially called them the Little People. While there were some differences, the core concept, the soft sculpture, the adoption papers, was strikingly similar to Martha's creation. Roberts, however, had a keen business sense that Martha lacked. He started mass-producing them and created the Cabbage Patch mythos. The adoption process, which seemed so novel and heartwarming to the public, was, according to Martha's supporters, directly lifted from her artistic practice. What she intended as a genuine personal connection between an artist, a doll, and a new owner, Roberts allegedly turned into a mass-marketable gimmick. The birth certificate, the adoption oath, it was all part of Martha's original vision, which was now being used to sell millions of factory-made dolls. Martha Nelson Thomas eventually sued Xavier Roberts, and the case was settled out of court for an undisclosed sum. But the narrative was already set. The world knew the story of Xavier Roberts and the magical Cabbage Patch, while the quiet folk artist who originated the concept was largely forgotten by the public. The wholesome adoption story, therefore, can be seen as a necessary piece of marketing to erase the doll's contested and controversial beginnings. It created a magical origin to replace a litigious one. So, the next time you see a Cabbage Patch Kid, remember that the adoption papers in the box aren't just a cute accessory, they are a relic of an artistic dispute. They represent the moment a personal artistic tradition was transformed into a global commercial phenomenon. The dolls weren't born in a magical Cabbage Patch. They were born from a craft fair, and their journey to toy store shelves was paved with accusations of theft and a bitter legal fight. A truth far more complicated than the simple joy of adoption. With her yarn hair, button eyes, and triangle nose, Raggedy Ann is the picture of quaint vintage charm. She's a classic American doll, a floppy, comforting presence for over a century. But behind her sweet stitched-on smile lies a story steeped in profound grief, spiritualism, and persistent rumors of being haunted. The theory here isn't just that a Raggedy Ann doll is haunted, but that the very creation of the character is intertwined with death and the supernatural. The story begins with cartoonist and writer Johnny Gruelle. The official, company-approved origin is that Gruelle created the doll for his daughter, Marcella, after she found an old, faceless rag doll in the attic. He drew on a face and named her Raggedy Ann. A sweet story, right? But the reality is much more tragic. Marcella died at just 13 years old from complications of a smallpox vaccination, a devastating blow to Gruelle and his family. It was after Marcella's death that Gruelle began writing and illustrating the Raggedy Ann stories. The doll, which had been his daughter's companion, now became a way for him to keep her memory alive. Raggedy Ann in the books is a leader, always kind and cheerful, who comes to life when humans are away. This can be seen as a grieving father's attempt to give his daughter the continued life and adventures she was denied. The doll became a vessel for his daughter's spirit, metaphorically, if not literally. This is where the supernatural element creeps in. Following Marcella's death, Gruelle became deeply interested in spiritualism, a movement that was popular at the time and focused on communicating with the dead. Given his grief and his interest in the spirit world, it's not a huge leap for people to theorize that Gruelle may have believed his daughter's actual spirit was connected to the doll. The stories weren't just fiction, they were his way of channeling and communicating with his lost child. This theory casts a long, spooky shadow over the entire Raggedy Ann franchise. The doll isn't just a character, she's a memorial, a tribute born from unimaginable loss. Her perpetual smile becomes almost tragic, a brave face put on a symbol of grief. Her button eyes are said to have been modeled after Marcella's, forever watching over a world she had to leave too soon. The doll is a tangible link to a deceased child, and this haunted legacy has followed the doll through the decades. It's no coincidence that one of the most famous purportedly haunted objects in the world, the Annabelle doll, was a Raggedy Ann doll. Ed and Lorraine Warren, the famous paranormal investigators, claimed that a Raggedy Ann doll was possessed by an inhuman spirit, pretending to be a deceased girl named Annabelle Higgins. While the movie version changed the doll's appearance to a creepy porcelain figure, the real Annabelle was a classic Raggedy Ann. Whether you believe in the paranormal or not, the connection is undeniable. The Raggedy Ann doll is inextricably linked to stories of death, spirits, and hauntings, from its very creation by a grieving father to its modern-day association with one of the most infamous paranormal cases. She is not just a rag doll, she is a canvas onto which we have projected our deepest fears and sorrows about life, death, and what might lie beyond. Her simple form carries the weight of a century of ghost stories. Play-Doh. That brightly colored, strangely satisfyingly scented modeling compound is a cornerstone of preschools and playrooms everywhere. Its primary appeal, besides its moldability, is that it's non-toxic. Kids can, and inevitably do, eat it without any real harm. The company, Hasbro, keeps the exact formula a trade secret, but the main ingredients are widely known to be a simple mix of water, salt, and flour. But what if I told you that the original purpose of this product had nothing to do with kids, and its original formula was designed for a filthy, disgusting job? Before it was a toy, the substance we know as Play-Doh was sold under the brand name Koodle Wall Cleaner. In the 1930s, many homes were heated by coal furnaces which left a layer of black soot and grime on the wallpaper. You couldn't use water to clean it without ruining the paper, so Koodle Products, a Cincinnati-based soap company, developed a putty-like substance to solve this problem. You would simply roll a ball of this doughy compound across the wallpaper, and it would lift the soot right off. So let's be crystal clear here. The stuff you and I molded into snakes and pizzas as toddlers was originally invented to clean toxic black coal soot off of dirty walls. It was a janitorial supply. Its purpose was to absorb filth. The primary ingredients were still flour, water, and salt, but it also contained cleaning agents and a mild solvent to help break down the grime. It was an industrial-grade cleaning product. The business was successful for a while, but after World War II, things changed. People began switching from dirty coal heat to cleaner natural gas and oil furnaces. Washable vinyl wallpaper also became popular. Suddenly, the demand for a doughy wallpaper cleaner plummeted, and Koodle Products was facing bankruptcy. The company's future looked bleak. The product that was once their star was now obsolete. The salvation for the company came from an unlikely source, a nursery school teacher. Kay Zufall, the sister-in-law of one of the company's executives, had been looking for a cheap and malleable modeling clay for her students. She read an article about the wallpaper cleaner being used for arts and crafts, tried it out, and found that the kids loved it. It was less messy than traditional clay and reusable. She was the one who suggested they market it as a toy. The company took her advice. They removed the cleaning agents from the formula, added food coloring and that now iconic almond scent to mask the original smell, and rebranded it as Play-Doh. It was first sold in the toy department of a Washington, D.C. department store in 1956, and the rest is history. From a dying cleaning product to one of the most successful toys of all time. But the origin story leaves a gross residue on the toy's innocent image. Every time you open a can of Play-Doh and that smell hits you, remember that you are smelling a product designed to cover up the fact that you're playing with a descendant of an industrial-grade grime remover. The very substance was created to be a dirt magnet. While the modern formula is perfectly safe, you can't unknow the truth. You're not just an artist, you're a little janitor, cleaning imaginary soot with a tool made for the real thing. And there you have it, the secret lives, tragic origins, and sinister histories hiding inside your childhood toy box. From the guardian souls of Toy Story and the violent birth of the teddy bear, to Barbie's adult-oriented ancestor and the paranoid legacy of the Furby. We've uncovered the legal battles behind Cabbage Patch Kids, the profound grief stitched into Raggedy Ann, and the grimy industrial past of Play-Doh. It seems that nothing is as innocent as it appears. The stories we've been told are often just that, stories designed to sell a product and create a legend, while the much more complex and often darker truth gets packed away like an old toy in the attic. What do you think? Do these theories change how you see your old playthings? Are there any other toy backstories or dark theories that we missed? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I read as many as I can, and your ideas often become the fuel for future investigations. The best part of this community is that the search for answers never has to stop. Every object, every story, has layers waiting to be peeled back. And together, that's exactly what we'll continue to do. The treasure hunt for the truth never ends. But for now, I think I've done enough to ensure you'll never look at a thrift store toy aisle the same way again. If you enjoyed tumbling down this particular rabbit hole and want to ruin more of your childhood, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive. Thanks for watching, and as always remember, it's all just a theory, a treasure theory. Thanks for digging. Suggest a topic here to be turned into a video, http:/bit. Lie to Kokakur, subscribe for more. ATPS/goo, GLPGOQ1. Stay updated. ATPs, Gudayel Jawai GT ATP/goo, Jella 5C8D SAR.